This episode contains descriptions of violence and death. We advise listener discretion.
Broken Arrow 911. Hello?
It was the first sign that something was wrong. A frantic 911 call made not long before midnight on July 22nd, 2015.
Are you the only one there?
No, my brother's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my brother.
12-year-old Daniel Bever is on the line, pleading for help. Then another voice is heard.
Hello?
Hi, what's going on there?
There's some sort of
What's going on
commotion
there?
before the
Hello?
call eventually disconnects. Daniel wouldn't survive the night. Even a decade later, Captain Brandon Teener remembers the details of that night with striking clarity.
What we get is obviously not the 911 call. We get what dispatch gives us. And what we got was that somebody is saying that someone's attacking their family. Well, that sounds like a domestic. This is unfortunately an extremely common call to go on. Another officer is the primary officer that was assigned. I came on the back because I was toward the south side of town being at the jail, and I kind of knew where the other officers were, so felt like I was the closest.
Captain Brandon Teener jumps into his cruiser and rushes to the area.
This was a wireless 911 call, so this was not from a landline phone. Therefore, 10 years ago, those were not always accurate. Sometimes they'd be a couple houses off, sometimes they could literally be half a mile off. It just wasn't that accurate.
Magnolia Court is a quiet cul-de-sac, lined with modest two-story homes. It's the kind of street where kids ride bikes and neighbors wave to each other across the yard. It looks like countless other suburban streets in Oklahoma, peaceful and ordinary.
The first house that I walked up to, is we parked down the street, I kind of mentally identified as a World War II veteran.
It's a red brick house with white trim. There's a flagpole with an American flag and a Ford Ranger parked out front.
I figured that probably wasn't where my domestic was at. I walked up close to the house, I listened, it was completely dark inside, there was no noise. The vehicle in the driveway was ice cold.
He figured it had been there 6 hours.
So I said, okay, this is a retired person, not likely my house.
He moves on to the next home and checks the vehicle parked there.
It was warm, but not hot, so maybe it'd been there a couple hours. Didn't make much of that, heard nothing, heard no disturbance, no screaming.
Captain Teener slowly approaches the home. The curtains were drawn and there was some light.
Kind of like I leave my house at night, the windows aren't open, you know.
Nothing out of the ordinary, or so he thought, until he goes to step on the front porch.
I blinked my flashlight, which I think is just kind of a habit. I didn't actually notice anything there, but I'm gonna look where I'm stepping, and I saw a massive amount of blood.
The amount of blood, he says, that indicates a person has passed away or is quickly headed in that direction.
I immediately radioed the other officer that was en route, who was already in the neighborhood, to get up there. Probably within 15 to 20 seconds, he was running down the street to get where I was at. I told him what we had. I said, hey, I've got a huge amount of blood here, I'm gonna knock and announce.
Suddenly he hears a faint voice.
I hear, help me. It's not a help me in distress, it's not screaming, help me. To this day, I mean, I can hear it, but it was strange, because usually when somebody's screaming, help me, they're being attacked, or they're excited. There's some emotion there, and it wasn't that at all.
And he'd soon understand why that person couldn't scream for help.
I knocked and announced it was the police a second time, and she said, please help me. So I told Officer Barnes, I said, somebody's calling for help, I'm gonna breach.
Captain Teener would later tell his wife,
I think I could have gone my whole career without that call.
I'm Brenna Rose, a news anchor and an investigative journalist in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this is Massacre on Magnolia Court, Episode 1, Blood on the Doorstep. The Bever case is one of Oklahoma's most gruesome and calculated cases of familicide. I wasn't living in Oklahoma at the time, but I do remember hearing about it. Crime was so violent it made national and even international news. I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma in April of 2022, and as the 10-year anniversary of the Bever murders approached, I found myself drawn back to this story, and started going through some of my news station's archives.
Tulsa's Channel 8. You're watching Good Morning Oklahoma, Rise and Shine.
And good morning, Oklahoma. We start this morning. Breaking news in Broken Arrow. Police investigating what appears to be a quintuple murder.
It was 4:30 in the morning on July 23, 2015, 4.5 hours after the 911 call, when first reports hit the air. Some of the footage recorded that day was never broadcast, not because it wasn't newsworthy, it was simply too graphic to show. Most of the video is dark, it's not raining, but every few minutes lightning illuminates the night sky. During those flashes of light, you can see a mobile command unit, a large RV-style vehicle with Broken Arrow Mobile Command Center written across the back and signs. It's parked on a residential street. A small group of officers stand huddled together, talking quietly. From behind the yellow police tape, you can't hear what they're saying, just the occasional crackle of a police radio. As flashlights sweep across the front lawn, a white tarp lies stretched over the grass. But what was inside that home was far worse. The details are so graphic, much of the case file remains sealed to this day.
OSBI and Broken Arrow Police, dozens of officers spending hours today investigating this horrific crime scene in Broken Arrow. And as they search for answers, Corporal Leon Calhoun says he has one specific question.
The first thing that comes to anybody's mind is why? Why would you do that to the people that raised you and took care of you, clothed you, sheltered you, and to your siblings that you've grown up, knowing?
The deeper I dug, the less sense it all made. And the search for answers led me somewhere I never expected, sitting face to face with one of the killers.
It was just sort of a twisted little path that I took from doomsday prepping to deciding that I wanted to kill people.
Can you explain that, how you went from doomsday prepping to then committing murder?
Really?
That's one of the many questions we wanted to find an answer to.
It's kind of those points that I mentioned earlier, all the different points of what I think makes a mass murderer's personality.
Broken Arrow is a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a community that attracts a lot of families because of its schools and safety. But as residents woke up to the news on July 23, 2015, that sense of security was shattered.
We got some breaking news this morning. Tragic breaking news. Police making a gruesome discovery at a home in Broken Arrow. 5 people dead, a child now in critical condition.
Police officers weren't overly accustomed to covering murders back in July of 2015, let alone mass murders.
So what happened out here tonight? Officers responded to an unknown problem call at the 700 block of Magnolia Court. When they arrived, they found 5 deceased victims inside the residence. They were able to find 1 juvenile victim who was injured.
And a toddler found in her bedroom unharmed.
Unfortunately, it can happen anywhere, and so we'll investigate it and give it our due diligence.
When was the last time you guys responded to something this big?
This magnitude, not within my career.
That's Sergeant Thomas Cooper. He was the Broken Arrow Police Department's public information officer at the time. He spoke with reporters not far from 709 Magnolia Court. A large white 2-story house with dark trim and a prominent dark-colored roof, home to a family of 9. After that night, the house stood silent. No one, not the Bevers or any other family, would live there again.
This is KTOL-TV, Tulsa's Channel 8.
They've blocked off Magnolia Court, and then Broken Arrow Police also has their mobile command center here on scene. Police tell us this all started around 11:30 Wednesday night. Officers responded to the house on the 700 block of Magnolia Court after receiving a call about an unknown problem. When they arrived, they found 5 people dead.
5 people dead. That alone is hard to comprehend, but 5 members of the same family? It's almost impossible to process, even for seasoned first responders.
It weighs a lot on, especially when the victims involved are juveniles. So it's in itself a traumatic call, but then for the police officer to respond, and also our fire department and EMS crews to respond, it's overall traumatic for them, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get it all compartmentalized in their brain to sort of work through the issues.
Are you sure why this is a homicide investigation?
why, just given the information we have and the investigation, just the preliminary investigation, it will be classified as a homicide. Obviously, with the investigation ongoing, there's a lot to do. The detectives are just now getting on scene, so it's going to be a rather lengthy investigation with a lot of factors involved. But at this time, we're classifying it as a homicide.
Well before dawn, detectives already knew what they were dealing with was unprecedented.
I can tell you that investigators are still on scene. This is about the 7th hour into the investigation. They're at a house back there gathering some evidence. And right now, I'm going to be joined by Sergeant Thomas Cooper with Broken Arrow Police. He's going to give us an update on this investigation. First, what can you tell us about the 5 victims?
They range from juveniles to adults. They were the suspects and victims were all related. They are a single family that is living in the single family dwelling behind us. The one living victim, who's a juvenile, is currently at a Tulsa hospital receiving treatment for her injuries. She's currently critical, unless I heard she's in surgery. We also found one other victim who was unharmed, and that victim is currently in protective custody through the state.
Now, do we know their ages?
We do not. Just adults and juveniles were all included in the as victims.
They would be identified as parents David and April Bever, and 3 of their children, 12-year-old Daniel, 7-year-old Christopher, and 5-year-old Victoria. Another victim, 13-year-old Crystal Bever, was critically injured. There's also a toddler, a little girl found unharmed. Then came a revelation that stunned the community.
Right now, Broken Arrow Police are not telling us much about what happened here late last night, but we do know the 2 teenagers who were arrested in connection to this case are related to the victims.
The suspects taken into custody weren't strangers. They were part of the same family.
Police have just released this mugshot of 18-year-old Robert Bever, the eldest son. He and his 16-year-old brother are under arrest for the 5 murders. The name of that 16-year-old not released just yet because he's a minor.
The teens, as you just heard, 18-year-old Robert Bever and his younger brother, 16-year-old Michael Bever. Investigators describing what they found in the family's home as a disturbing collection of weapons.
Channel 8's Maureen Words here at the crime scene with me. Maureen, what have you found out today?
Kristen, I just got off the phone with police who told me that right now they know that several different types of blades were used in this, including knives, and they say also a hatchet, and all of the family members were stabbed several times.
10 years and 2 convictions later, the why is still not known. And that's one of the reasons for this podcast. A crime so gruesome and calculated, it remains both shocking and hard to comprehend. To uncover what led to the murders, I had to start with what happened inside that home. I meet Detective Eric Bentz and Captain Brandon Tiener at the Broken Arrow Police Department. I'm curious, how long have each of you been police officers for?
So I'm just shy of 23 years and 21 years.
Obviously, there's certain cases over the years that stand out more than others. How does this specific case rank?
I'd say for me, it's in the top 5 of things I've been involved in. I've been a detective since 2012, so that really got me involved in a lot more more significant cases than the average patrol officer. So I've got a handful of things that are pretty massive like this, or just pretty terrible. But this is easily in the running for the top most horrible and detailed and broad case that I've been involved in.
Yeah, so this is my number 1. You have a lot of big things to get into over the years, and you have some things that are exciting. This is the most inhumane and unexplainable event that I've ever been part of, and I think that every police officer has dealt with the death of children, but the manner in which this was carried out and the malice and the fact that it was family members, I think just amps that up.
The killing spree was set to start at midnight. Instead, it started earlier, and 13-year-old Crystal reminded her brothers to do the dishes. Michael explained it this way to detectives.
I brought Crystal over to my desk, and I had to look at something to just get to go over, went up behind her, grabbed her, and slid her through.
Really? What did he use?
Oh, this large red knife.
He thought she was going to die immediately, quietly, because he even covered her mouth. She didn't die. She started fighting for her life. So he continues to stab her for probably what was only 5 or 10 seconds as Michael's watching. But that 20-second assault was so stressful on Robert that he collapsed in the floor. And Michael had to encourage him and say, you need to get up. We still have to follow the plan. We have to go, we have to get up, and helped him up off the floor and got his knife back to him. And then that's when Mom shows up.
Mom came in yelling, call the police. And then he ran over and stabbed her.
Then he stabbed her?
Yeah, he probably stabbing her, pushed her, further down the hallway.
In the minutes that followed, the Bever family faced unimaginable terror. Detective Bentz's account of what happened is difficult to hear.
They killed their mother in the hallway. Daniel has run by to the living room and got his phone and runs back by and gets stabbed by Robert as he's running back to either the office or his room to lock the door. Crystal is making her way out of the room during that chaos. They go to get Daniel because I don't know if they saw the phone or knew he was on the phone, but they're going to get him. He's locked the door, he's holding it shut, he's on 911.
That call capturing the horror that was unfolding in real time.
Broken Arrow 911. Hello?
Hello? Yeah,
Michael comes to the door and says, help me, help me, help me. Robert's trying to get me, he's gonna kill me, let me in. So he opens the door thinking he's saving his brother. And then they go in and kill him.
They trick their younger siblings the same way, Robert later testified. First responders tried to save Daniel, the child whose voice first alerted them to the horror inside of that home. For a few moments, they believed there was still a chance to save more lives.
So he got drug out into the front yard, and whoever was carrying him realized he was dead at that point. Then somebody else tried to drag the mother out, and there was so much blood and it's concrete floors on the ground level, they couldn't even move her out. And I think they realized in the process too that she was dead.
Autopsy reports would reveal the extent of the brutality. Their mother sustained at least 48 stab wounds. Their father, at least 28. Their younger siblings, Daniel, Christopher, and Victoria, each suffered multiple stab wounds. For Captain Teener, these wounds weren't just details on a report. They were images seared into memory.
I remember that image when we actually had to breach the door into the bathroom as well. And I remember the image of those two youngest that passed. And I remember thinking after that, like the amount of terror that must have been in this very young child's mind when their own brothers are attacking them violently with knives until, they pass out. But that's, I kind of overthink things. I don't say, hey, here's a horrible thing. I think of how it went down. And it's beyond me how a person can do that to any helpless person or child, let alone their sibling.
Detectives say the knife attack on their family was far more difficult than they anticipated.
These two brothers had planned all this out, and they kind of had not much common sense and not a big understanding of reality. And they thought this was going to be easy and fun and exciting. And, people that haven't been involved in any type of violence in their life, it can be shocking when it actually happens. And I think that's what happened to both of them. They were like, wow, this is not going like we planned. Everybody was supposed to die so easy and quietly. And they had no idea how much of a fighter their sister Crystal was and what they were in for with her.
Crystal, their 13-year-old sister, the only one who could reveal what really happened inside of that home. But first, she had to survive. That's next on Massacre on Magnolia Court.